They didn't really turn up much else, so they managed to find some drivers who have been going down that particular stretch of the Autobahn around that time of night, and a few of them apparently reported seeing a hitchhiker pretty close to that spot where he was found.
Before or after the crash, they don't know.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
it could have been
they
after.
don't know. It could have been after, it could have been before. Yeah, but they saw a hitchhiker hanging out down there. But the hitchhiker and the guy in the light jacket were never identified. And so it's one of them cold cases, which, you know, the world is called upon Team Sideways to solve. Yeah.
Team Sideways.
Yeah, so you guys have any theories?
Oh, man. There's so many weird things in this.
Yeah, well, go ahead and run. I have a couple of possible thoughts on this, but let's hear what you think.
I mean, it kind of feels like he was suffering a psychotic break of some kind.
No, could be.
Right? You know, it was kind of an extended psychotic break, but perhaps he lost consciousness and suffered concussion when he, you know, fell over backwards. He was already in a paranoid kind of state. He drove around, he's got these lost hours. But, you know, it's totally possible that, I don't know, I guess in my world, in like TV land, right, the way that this went down is he was suffering the psychotic break. He went to see his old friend. He said something horrible is going to happen. He started to drive home, pulled over and was like, no, I can't drive home. For whatever reason, stripped naked, was walking down the highway, maybe got hit by a drunk driver or, you know, a group of kids or whatever. So they were like, oh, crap, we got to get him someplace. They load him into his car, start driving him, but they're drunk. So they run off the road again and then bail because why would you stick around for that? You know, but there are just so many different things. You know, on the other hand, like maybe the Men in Black came to assassinate him or whatever Germany's
Maybe they really did.
equivalent of that is, you know, he did a little premonition that something awful was going to happen. I don't know if it was to him or elsewise.
Well, that's also kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah. Yeah,
when you
say
expect
something horrible is going to
bad gonna happen, you start making bad decisions.
Yeah, like walking naked down the Autobahn.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice to make. Yeah, he and by the way, if you're gonna murder a guy and fake sort of a car accident, then stripping him naked and putting him in the passenger seat doesn't strike me as a very effective way to do it. So
but if you like had your DNA all over his clothes, I mean, but the thing that I don't know how they determined that he was naked when he got hit.
They probably found skid marks on his skin. I don't know.
I feel
tire marks.
Yeah.
Actually, car tires make pretty definitive marks on the human body. I mean, that's a lot of weight to roll.
Although I guess it just seems like that's the sort of thing that can happen through clothes just as easily as it can on skin.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
You know, so I don't know how they could determine that it was, you know, naked versus not. But fine. But like, how do you convince a man to strip naked? Do you say,
well, if you're a hot chick, it's pretty easy.
So here's my question. Nowhere in any of the reading did I come across anything that said if they checked his blood alcohol. Did either of you see that?
I found zip about that.
Okay, so the way I'm looking at this, he fell off his bar stool and he clocked his noggin somehow. So he's in an altered state, and he disappears for a couple of hours, and then he shows up at this lady's house, and then he disappears for a couple hours later till they find him. I have known people who have banged their head and then decided in an altered state that they need to go get a drink, and then, of course, they do some weird stuff because they're not in a rational frame of mind.
Yeah.
So I could just see this guy, kind of loopy, going to a different place and getting another beer.
Yeah.
And getting pretty toasted, and then going to see this lady. She doesn't say if he seemed intoxicated or not from the accounts no mention of this. Okay, so let's just say that he was a little buzzed. He sees her. Oh, okay, I got to get out of here. Well, where should I go? Oh, well, I'll go to this place down the street. And he gets another couple beers. He meets a couple of guys. They're all having a good time. Closing time comes around. They've got to go. And he's like, oh, I've got a car. Don't worry about it. And they're goofing around. And let's say that he's like, oh, you know what'd be hilarious is if I did this and I'm just going to strip my clothes off.
Yeah, I know.
And then, you know, gets hit by a car. And then we fall back in line with what Devin was saying is that he gets hit by the car. They're like, oh, crap. We got to get this guy to the hospital, put him in the car. Guy who's driving is a little loaded, wrecks the car, and they all go, not being here.
Yeah.
Not it. I'm out of here. You tell. And the guy who's in the light jacket wandering around, he's the last one left, the guilty party who has to explain what's happening, and then he...
You know, the other thing I could see happening, which I think I read a theory of in the reading somewhere, is that Stoll crashes his car. Mm-hmm. And in this altered state of mind, it's like, wow, I gotta take all my clothes off for whatever reason. Yeah. Wanders out to the Audubon, gets hit by a
Checking
car.
himself for injuries or something.
You know, says, okay, and is like going out there for help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tries to flag a car down. He's drunk or concussed or whatever. You know, gets hit by a car. State. It's cold. He says, hey, take me back to my car. And they're like, okay, we'll take you back to your car and we'll go call somebody. That's the light-colored jacket guy takes him back to his car. The only problem I have with that is they don't mention if they found his clothes or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they would have been around there.
Again, it'd be nice to see the original police file. How many times have I said that?
Yeah.
Yeah, another theory is that the hitchhiker and the mystery guy in the light-colored jacket are the same person. Mm-hmm. That's actually my theory. So maybe he was out there hitchhiking and he sees Gunther come speeding down the Autobahn and then wreck his car, dump it into the ditch. Mm-hmm. And he goes over there to help out. And before he actually gets to the car, Stoll exits the car, either naked or clothed in any strips, runs to the Autobahn to get help, gets flagged out of car, and gets run over. The hitchhiker at this point goes over to Stoll and says, oh my God, what can I do to help you? And Stoll, who's laying on the freezing cold ground because it's late October and he's naked, says, could you please put me in my car so I'm not freezing, so I'm not sticking to the ground?
Oh, I guess. I guess the other thing, right, is that so at this point, I know in Chicago or in Illinois they still have the emergency phones, and I think in Southern Oregon they still do.
A lot of
more rural places they do. They're every 5
feet,
5 miles or something like that, right?
That.
So if he were right in the middle, this dude in the light-colored jacket could have been, going back to the one that was more south, and the truck drivers went to the north one, and he just was like, all right, well, there's truck drivers over there, they'll take care of it. I might be implicated for whatever reason. I might have a criminal history.
Yeah, this guy maybe didn't want to have a conversation with the police.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I can see that, but gosh.
Yeah, so that's a possibility.
Maybe he stole his clothes at the same time. Maybe he was,
maybe the light-colored jacket was Gunter's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess it's also possible. The other thing I was thinking is that this is the 80s, and this woman was an older woman that he went to visit, right?
Uh-huh.
Maybe she was ashamed to mention that he was coming on to her. Maybe he was. Maybe he was naked when he showed up at her house. I mean, maybe.
You would think she would have mentioned something like that.
You would think that, but, okay, so if she's an older lady, right, and it's the 80s, so she would have been, growing up in another time.
More conservative time.
Yeah, and if she'd known him growing up, she wouldn't necessarily want to harm his reputation.
Oh, that's possible.
She could have said...
That's possible she'd be covering for him.
I didn't let him in the house. Why didn't you let him in the house? You knew him growing up, and he was clearly in distress. Why didn't you let him in the house? Oh, because he was naked? Oh, okay, that makes more sense. But do you say that to somebody, or do you say, oh, it was late, so I didn't let him in the house, and I told him to just go home to his wife?
Okay, let's stop for a second.
Yeah.
We've all known someone that we were interested in dating or having some kind of relationship with, and you go to their door and you're going to knock on their door, and it's utterly nerve-wracking when they're not expecting you. Mm-hmm. Now take your clothes off.
Okay,
Could you imagine how awkward and weird that would be for him and her?
Drunk and you have a concussion, and this woman was your 18-year-old babysitter when you were 8.
And it's your crush.
Right? And she was your crush from forever.
In your adult brain, this is how you show it.
You do the naked man.
That works every time.
Yeah, it works every time.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No, it works 3 out of 4 times.
What is the naked man?
It's a TV show reference. It's fine. We'll talk about it later, Steve.
Okay.
I will teach you about the naked man.
Oh, you got to hear about the naked man, yeah. That reminds me I had this idea for a superhero. It's called Naked Man.
No.
Now he shows up at the crime scene and he goes to close with the criminal, you know, like Batman would, and the criminal just like drops the money and says, "No, dude, it's okay. I'll go peacefully."
The naked man.
Yeah, naked man.
No.
No, stay back. I give up.
I give up. Nope, it's okay. I quit.
Nope.
I quit.
I did it.
Okay, yeah.
Boy, we are so off track.
Yeah, this is really off track.
All right,
yeah.
so that
well, okay, so anyway, yeah, that sums up my theories anyway. So the hitchhiker puts him in the car, and then the truckers show up, and the hitchhiker who doesn't want to talk to the police figures, well, my job's done. I'm going to beat feet out of here. Mm-hmm. So it could all be.
There's another euphemism. Beat feet.
Yeah, beat feet. Exactly.
Once again, we've dropped so many in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When this gets translated to German, it is going to be so unintelligible.
I know. We're going to frustrate a lot of German speakers.
Yeah.
It's great.
I have a friend who's a linguistics major, and she she works in the business world, and she just texts me almost daily about really, we're using the term ramp up to talk about this, you know, all the euphemisms that happen in the business world, but also just in English in general.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's fluent in 5 different languages, and, you know, English is the one that does it the most. We use these weird terms for stuff that's just I don't know. If you aren't native.
It's fine.
But it's not even if you're not native, right? It's if you born in the wrong area. You know, Southerners use words that we're just I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. East Coasters, Midwestern, you know, we use words that a lot of English speakers in this world have no idea. English, British English speakers.
Well.
To go on a tangent.
Yeah, that's very tangential, but it's true.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So we'll just edit you out later.
Perfect.
Actually,
perfect. You edit me out all the time.
I guess it's time to tell you this. Yeah, we've edited you completely out of every episode.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not a part of this show.
We just have you on the show because you always bring beer.
Oh. Man.
Yeah.
I knew you guys were using me.
Yeah, sorry about that. But keep bringing the beer. So anyway, you guys have any more theories? UFOs, black holes?
I don't.
I guess
no.
The missing time. The one thing that sticks in my craw again, that sticks in my craw about the whole thing is where he's unaccounted for several hours at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
20 minutes, a half hour where you don't know where somebody is as you're kind of plotting their day, that's no big deal. But when it becomes hours and he's in a relatively small area, really, really makes me wonder what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's my hardest part is I was what were you doing?
He could have been doing anything. He could have gone to a movie. He could have gone to a porno shop. I mean,
he could have sat in his car and listened to the radio.
Gone for a drive. I go for a drive sometimes.
Yeah.
But I will say that, you know, as a ufologist. Ufologist. No, I mean, you know.
We're back to that phrase.
We are a little bit.
That is not in the lexicon.
It is now. You're welcome.
I mean, one
of the things that people talk about with alien abductions is lost time at before time. But that's 9 times out of 10 that's somebody reporting I don't know, I was looking at the clock and then suddenly it was 4 hours later and I don't know where that time went. It's not
that happens to me
saying,
all the time.
Hey, a drunk person was unaccounted for a couple of hours and then he died. You know, it's much harder to kind of figure out what's going on with this sort of thing. And I guess, you know, the only thing that would keep me from saying that it was something really malicious is that he was apparently cognizant enough to say there were 4 other people with me and no, they were not my friends. But if it was something malicious, right, you kind of feel like he would have said, he was definitely in the state of mind to have said, no, they were trying to kill me. You know, I was murdered.
Prior to it, yeah.
You know, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I really don't know. I mean, because, on the one hand, it's so they strip him naked, push him out in front of the car, scrape him up off the pavement, put him back in the car, take it somewhere else, and then deliberately crash the car.
It's hard to deliberately crash a car.
And I guess the only thing would be is that then they would have, if they were trying to make it look like he crashed his car and that's how he died, they would have drug him into the driver's seat.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Unless the truck showed up.
I guess that's true.
And they couldn't finish the
white
move.
jacket guy or light jacket guy was meant to drag him over.
Yeah, it could be that, you know, like your theory that he went to a bar and met some guys, you know, and he was giving them a ride home, and then crashed, and then, and maybe they're a little angry with him, so they strip him naked and shove him out in front of a car, and then grab him, put him back in the car. Well,
we are so far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's just like a wide open rabbit hole.
We can sit here and theorize.
We could just conjecture all night,
and just keep going forever.
Yeah.
But I think I really do feel like it's more likely that he, for whatever reason, he was naked and definitely was drunk. People are more likely to do things like get naked when they're drunk. I don't know why.
Inhibitions go away.
Yeah. Maybe he really did wreck the car, really was out trying to flag down a car, forgot that he was naked, and somebody just didn't see him and ran him over. Mm-hmm. And then somebody came along and helped put him in his car so he wouldn't freeze, and then left. Something like that. It's not necessarily a supernatural or
I guess
totally scary thing.
To go on that, right, I'm going to say he drove his car into a ditch, for whatever reason, stripped naked, flagging down a car, got hit. This hitchhiker saw it happen, goes running to help him, jacks his clothes, because, for whatever
he's unconscious.
Because, for whatever reason. I mean, people steal clothes all the time. If there's
But are you going to steal bloody, torn up? Are you talking about jacked clothes that were already taken off of his body?
Yeah, because he was hit when he was naked. He stripped before.
Okay. Yeah.
He gets
I was
hit.
thinking
he goes and he's like, wow, there's
take
nice
them all off of
clothes.
him bodily.
He tries to help him. He's going to a different one. He sees the truck drivers pull up and he's like, you know what? They'll take care of it. They're great people. I'm going to go, he's on the lam or whatever.
Yeah, that's possible. It is possible he jacked his clothes, although, again, the information is sketchy. His clothes might have been in the back seat of the car.
Yeah, and we just never didn't hear about it.
Yeah, it just wasn't reported.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if anybody out there knows, if you're the guy in the light-colored jacket, please contact us.
You ostensibly totally still alive.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago. If you're the person if you're the hitchhiker, please give us a call. Also, find us on Facebook and like us. You can find us on iTunes. If you find us on iTunes, please give us a review. You can find us on Stitcher if you don't have time to download it to your iPod.
Or you forget.
Stream us on the go, or if you forget. If you want to send us an email, our email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com, and our website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. And you'll find our episodes out there also, so you don't need to go to pesky old iTunes if for some reason or another you're boycotting them or something.
Well, and we'll have the links on the website, of course.
Also, that's one of the benefits too. Is you'll have some cool.
We'll probably use ones that are in English.
We'll do one in German just to see what people are running.
Yeah,
for our German listeners. Yeah.
There we go.
Do we have any emails?
We do, actually.
Oh, we've got a lot of email. How did you decide which?
Do we have any email we want to read this
Well,
week?
that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
We can't read them all.
We totally have an email that I wanted to read this week because I actually got a big kick out of it.
All right, let's hear it.
This is from Crary, I believe is how you pronounce the name. And it says, I just listened to your awesome Polybius podcast.
Oh, no.
And there was a description of how most emulated ROMs are for home console, which I think is a common belief, but there's a huge arcade emulating community.
Are we talking about underground arcade communities? Because that must be the truth.
I didn't know this.
Oh my goodness.
Which is pretty rad. So it gave us a couple of links here, which we'll post them. It's probably the easiest way to do it.
Maybe Facebook or something.
Something like that, yeah. But their MAME, M-A-M-E, is a program that emulates thousands of arcade games, and the ROMs are currently out there, but there's also the issue, and I'm paraphrasing here, but there's the legal issue of taking somebody else's game and reusing it.
But, oh my gosh.
But it's done a lot.
Was offering this to us because, of course, I think that we went off a little bit about asteroids.
I know I did go off on ROMs for a really long time.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind downloading Asteroids. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and so evidently that's where all the arcade games we want is at. And Barry also said, well, thanks for an awesome podcast, which is great.
Oh, thanks, man.
I then had to have a job and a relationship, and I eat regular meals, and I have things that I have to be at on a regular basis.
I don't have any of those.
And if I start going to this website, I'm going to forego all of those.
So will you make sure to forward those to me? Because I literally have none of those right now. So
I want to
well, no, you still have to show up here.
Well, okay, so I have 1 commitment a week.
And you got to do your research.
Okay, so I have like 1.5 commitments a week.
And then we have to edit you out.
Listen.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'm
not
just
her
saying,
time,
email
though.
this to me because I need this so bad.
I need it too, just for asteroids and a couple others.
I can't keep going to ground control.
Oh, well,
That's expensive, yeah.
Yeah,
It
it
gets
does get
real
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
Anybody know Ground Control is an arcade here in Portland? Actual arcade.
An arcade.
have
It's
got
a bar
everything.
arcade, though.
Yeah.
It's an over 21 arcade. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Someday I'll host a little something there.
And they've got God, what was the tank game that came out right after